Hi sir, I am Michael S. Adolescent, and this is my video presentation on child and adolescents, learners and learning principles. This course focuses on child and adolescents development with emphasis on current research and theory on biological or our life and linguistic and our language or how we talk, how we pronounce, and cognitive on how we thinking or reasoning, and social on how we on or social and how we interact with other people, and emotional dimension of development or our mind, how to develop our mind. So further, this includes factors that affect the progress of development of the learners and shall include appropriate pedagogical principles applicable for each development level. So, these factors include that affect the progress of development. So sobrang nag-affect po siya sa development ng isang tao and of the learners, and shall include appropriate pedagogical principle applicable for each and development level. And in addition on that, this course is more focuses on how to develop the child and adolescent and how spiritual and physical and cognitive and many more affect the child and adolescents. So the following are the aspects of these principles. So they focus on psychological factors that are primarily internal to and under the control of the learner rather than the conditioned habit of or psychological factors. So the psychological factors are things related to your physical body that affect your thinking. So for example, when your body's chemistry is off due to your unbalanced nutrition or dehydration or alcohol and etc., the neurotransmitters on your brain that control your thinking process can be affected. So the principles are divided into those referring to a cognitive and metacognitive, motivational and affective, development and social, and individual difference factor influencing learners and learning. So the principles are intended to apply to all learners, from children to teachers to administrators to parents and to community members involved in educational system. So these principles are wanted to apply on students, even teachers and administrations. So that's the point of view on these principles. And the first principle, nature of the learning process. So, the learning of complex subject matter is most effective when it is unintentional. So, this principle is very effective when the student or the teachers wanted or intentionally want the process of constructing the meaning from information and experience. So, this process can involve the 5 steps. First, observation. Second, mentally imaginary, or third is practice, and fourth is trial and error, and fifth is imitation. So the second is the goals of the learning process. So, the successful learner over time with support and instructional guidance. So, nagiging successful po yung learners once na there was a support na, like sa mga prof, sinusuportahan nila yung mga estudyante nila, chini-cheer up nila, and instructional guidance, or may nagtuturo sa kanila ng instruction na gagawin nila para malaman nila yung mga isang bagay or mga gusto nilang malaman. And also can create meaningful, coherent representation of knowledge. So, ayun nga na natututo rin sila ng mga bagay na gusto nila malaman, nalalaman nila yung meaning, or na-enlighten sila sa mga bawat ginagawa nila. And so, the objective of this is provides the reason for teaching and observing it. And also, they want to describe a direction for the student acquiring new knowledge and skills, or having a good attitude. Also, on third principles, construction of knowledge. So, the successful learner can link new information with existing knowledge in meaningful ways. So ayun nga, the successful learners can link new information with existing knowledge in meaningful ways. So this is a process by which learners actively build their understanding of a topic or concept through exploration, reflection, and interaction. And that's how they construct of knowledge. So fourth is strategic thinking. So the successful learner can create and use a repertoire of thinking and reasoning strategies to achieve complex and learning growth. So strategic thinking focuses on finding and developing unique ways or opportunities to create value for himself or himself. And also, if you want to show how you are strategically thinking, you should be thinking outside the box, keep questioning, get some space, and look up and out. So stay informed and be knowledgeable, keep on point. So the next principle is thinking about thinking. Higher order strategies for selecting and monitoring mental operation facilitate creative and critical thinking. So, what is the word for thinking about thinking? So, it's called metacognition, or what you know about your own thoughts. Metacognition is a deeper level of thinking that includes your ability to think about your thinking and how you understand, adapt, change, control, and use your thoughts on process. So the next principle is thinking about thinking. Higher order strategies for selecting and monitoring mental operation facilitate creative and critical thinking. So, what is the word for thinking about thinking? So, it's called metacognition, or what you know about your own thoughts. Metacognition is a deeper level of thinking that includes your ability to think about your thinking and how you understand, adapt, change, control, and use your thoughts on process. So, the next principle is context of learning. So, learning is influenced by environmental factors including culture, technology, and instructional practices. So, the importance of context learning is motivate and encourage the learners to introspect and explore their talent and learning. So they will be able to express themselves with the physical activities, or what they want to do, and what they see is what they want to do. In the next principle, motivation and emotional influence on learning. What and how much is learned is influenced by the learner's motivation. Motivation to learn, in turn, is influenced by the individual's emotional states, belief, interests, goals, and habits of thinking. So, motivational and emotional influence on learning is can lead you to success. It's also can give it's also can boost your confidence and self on how you think, and you can also motivate yourself on doing this. So for example, a student get a lower grade. So imbis na malungkot siya, nag-review siya to gain more knowledge. Hindi siya nagpalugmok sa sa ginawa niya porket nagkaroon siya ng mababang grades. So winork hard niya yung pag-aaral niya, and he study more, he read, he also explore to gain more knowledge. And that's how motivational and emotional influences on learning. So next is effects on motivation on effort. So acquisition of complex knowledge and skills require extended learner effort and guided practices. Without learners' motivation to learn, the willingness to exert this effort is unlikely without coercion. So acquisition of complex knowledge and skill requires extended learners for effort. So ayun nga po, complex knowledge and skills require extended learners effort. So if they want to be more effective, motivate mo yung sarili mo at bibigyan mo siya ng more effort para ma-perfect mo or mapaganda mo yung something na ginagawa mo. And this effort is unlikely without coercion. So pag di ka po talaga nag-effort, wala po talaga mangyayari or nothing's gonna happen to you if you don't pay attention or give an effort sa mga ginagawa mo. The next principle is social influences on learning. Learning is influenced by social interactions, interpersonal relations, and communication with others. So learning is influenced by social interactions, or you can learn or influence through social interactions or sa pagkikita or sa pakikipagsalamuha sa mga ibang tao, and interpersonal relations and communication with others. And also the social environment plays a crucial role in shaping a student or a learner's experiencing and outcomes. So various factors within the environment, including the family, these factors can help the students because he was in a family and a school and a community, significantly influence students' academic performance, motivation, and moral development. The next principle is social influences on learning. Learning is influenced by social interactions, interpersonal relations, and communication with others. So learning is influenced by social interactions, or you can learn or influence through social interactions or sa pagkikita or sa pakikipagsalamuha sa mga ibang tao, and interpersonal relations and communication with others. And also the social environment plays a crucial role in shaping a student or a learner's experiencing and outcomes. So various factors within the environment, including the family, these factors can help the students because he was in a family and a school and a community, significantly influence students' academic performance, motivation, and moral development. So the next principle is individual difference in learning. So learners have different strategies. So learners have different strategies and approaches and capabilities for learning that are function of prior experience and heredity. So it is important for teachers to know variables such as physical character, intelligence, perception, gender, ability, and learning styles, which are indifferent or individual differences of learners. An effective, uh, an effective and productive learning teaching process can be planned by considering these individual differences of the student. So the next principle is learning and diversity. Learning is most effective when differences in learners in linguistic, cultural, and social backgrounds are taken into account. So learner diversity refers to the infinite variety of the experiences and attributes a child brings to their formal learning at school. So the educator seeks to meet the needs of all learners so that every student can success in their lives. In addition on that, learning about diversity from an early age can be more inclusive and respectful interactions with others can also help students develop a sense of empathy and understand for people who may have different experiences or perceptions and perspective. And for the last principles, standard and assessment. Setting appropriately high and challenging standards and assessing the learner as well as learning progress, including diagnostic, process, and outcome assessment are integral parts of the learning process. So this is standard and assessment used to examine a target area of development such as gross motor skill, fine motor skill, social skills, and language skill, vision, and lastly, hearing or some cognition. So those are based on a clear set of progressions, goals that are deemed necessary for the students who are being given an assessment. Or sometimes they give assessment. The example of some assessments are ACTS or exam, something like that. So this is the aspect of human development. So human development is very complex because growth and changes occur in different aspects of the self. The different aspects of life are intertwined. So human development defined as the process of enlarging people's freedom and opportunities and improving their well-being. So human development is about the real freedom ordinary people have to decide who to be, what to be, and how to live. And the human development concept was developed by economists. So next is physical development. So changes in the body, brain, sensory capacities, and motor skill exert major influence on both intellect and personality. So physical development is defined as the growth of the body and its part, including the muscle and the motor development. And gross motor skill refer to skill that use larger muscle in the body to jump or to ski, to ride a bike, or to dance. It's also the physical development is more on developing on your body. So the second development is intellectual development. So changes in a wide variety of mental abilities such as learning, memory, reasoning, thinking, and facility with language related to both motor and emotional aspect of development. So the intellectual development means the growth of a child's ability to think and reason. It's all about how they organize uh, their minds, ideas, and thoughts to make sense of the world they live in. So the next is personality and social development. Personality is the unique way in which each person deals with the world, expresses emotions, and gets along with other individuals. So, sa personality, sa unique way po siya na which is kada isang tao sa mundo ay may kanya-kanyang emosyon and ayun, may kanya-kanya tayong emosyon na ina-express. And social development is that which affects birth, the physical and cognitive and aspect of function. So, yung social development po, nakaka-apekto po siya yung social development po, nakaka-apekto po siya simula pa nung bata tayo, tapos pag tumanda tayo, makaka-apekto po yung social development sa atin. Kasi na-attract po natin or na nagagaya natin yung mga ginagawa ng nasa isang society or community. And also personal and social development supports children to have a positive sense of themselves, respect for others, and social skills, emotional well-being, and a positive disposition to learning. So there are crucial for school readiness. And personality and social development is about children developing confidence and independence. So, next is moral development. Aware of what is right or what is wrong, to unfold standards or habit that have to do with the right or wrong conduct. So, moral development is referred to the process whereby people from a progressive sense of what is right and what is wrong, or proper and improper. So, how moral reasoning changes from the light childhood to adolescence. So, becoming less focused on yourself and more focused on others' opinion. So, next is spiritual development, an evolved refinement in thought and feeling of the spirit or soul as distinguished from the body or material matters, a consciousness of religion or the church. So, this spiritual development is referred to the fundamental question about the meaning and the purpose of life, which affect everyone, and it's not depend on the religious affiliation. Spiritual development is not about becoming more spiritual, it is about realizing or becoming more and more aware of one's natural initiate spiritually. In addition, spiritual involves exploring certain universal themes: love, compassion, altruism, life after death, wisdom, and truth, with the knowledge that some people, such as saints or enlightened individuals, have achieved and manifested higher levels of development than the ordinary person. So next is risk factors facing children and adolescents in emergency situation. So it was suggested that children and adolescents in situation of conflict and forced migration are likely to face a range of risks and threats to their development. Displacement is often to be seen as threat to the social, emotional, and intellectual development of children and adolescents, owing to the fact that they have experienced massive challenge or change and their environment has experienced wholesome disruption. However, in assessing situation of risk, it is important to avoid making assumption that exposed to a particular risk or hazard will automatically examine the way in which different people in similar circumstances may react widely differently to threats to their development and well-being. So, on risk factor in facing children and adolescent in emergency situation, it was suggested that children and adolescents in situation of conflict and forced migration are likely face a range of risks and threats. So maybe it can be a threats or risk on the children and adolescents when it comes to an emergency situation, because sometimes we cannot we cannot help someone when we can help ourselves or someone when we are even in a risk or in a threat, so their development. So displacement is often to be seen as threat to the social, emotional, and intellectual development of children and adolescents. So it could be threat in social and emotional. So it can there's gonna be a conflict on your emotion when you can't when you can't when you can't have or satisfy yourself. You can be emotional. So next is consequences for the child's development. So there is now a great deal of evidence that children with a background in conflict or displacement are at greatly increased risk of various forms of abuse and exploitation. It is also clear that the presence of one risk factor may make children more vulnerable to other risks. Hence, an accumulation of risks can occur. For example, the separated child may be at enhanced risk of abuse and exploitation, with the child facing abuse with the family may be enhanced risk of recruiting into fighting forces. So there was an example on this, and the separated child may be at enhanced risk for abuse. So sometimes when when the mother can give the children's or their child the life they want, so the mother just wanting to go to the abroad just to make sure that his child or kids are having a money or that can help him to become more 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 on health, basta more on healthy lifestyle para mabigyan niya yung anak niya ng ng magandang buhay. So there's a risk pa din na iiwan mo yung anak mo sa ibang tao para lang mag-abroad ka. So magkaka-conflict din dun kasi syempre yung bata hindi niya naman pamilya or kahit pamilya niya hindi niya naman talaga yung pinakamagulang. So magkakaroon din ng problema yun kasi syempre sa pagpapalaki niya, kunyari aalis yung pamilya, maiiwan yung anak mo kasi hindi naman siya part ng family, parang inaalagaan lang siya, nabibigyan lang yung nag-aalaga sa kanya ng pera kasi more on nagpo-focus yung isang pamilya sa sa anak nila, hindi sa anak mo kasi nga parang di naman kasi nila kadugo, parang ganon, may risk din na ganon. So next is, while a child facing abuse with the family may be at risk of recruitment into fighting forces. So ayun nga, when pag yung na-abuse talaga yung mga bata or yung mga anak natin, lagi natin sinasaktan, syempre masasanay sila na sinasaktan sila, parang gusto nilang bumawi sa ibang tao, yung mga ganong factor. So yan. So for the last part, protective factors. So protective factors serves to shield both parents and children from the worst effect of such as risk factors and thereby contribute to resilience. So some of these protective factors related to characteristic, assets, or resources of the individual, such as the following. So cognitive competence, a reasonable level of intelligence, skill in communication, realistic planning, etc. So this cognitive competence is a reasonable level of intelligence, skills in communication. So on this cognitive competence, you can be more can communicate good, So when you're communicating in your children or your parents, or if you have a good communication with your child, so it could be more resilient in your family. It could be more good for your family because you can know what he's feeling when he's sad, or what he's doing when he was very busy. So next is a positive sense of self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-control. So when there's a positive self-esteem and self-confidence and self-control, you can create a very massive impact in your life or in your children. So you can be, so when, just like when you are angry, so if you have a self-control, you cannot you cannot abuse your child by doing some palo or pagalitan, yung mga ganon. So next is an acting coping style rather than a passive approach, tendency to look the future rather than to the past. So in acting coping style rather than a passive approach, so when you approach your child in a good way, he can adapt that how you do it. So tendency he can have a better future from the past. So next is a sense of structure and meaning in the individual lives, often informed by religious or political beliefs, a sense of coherence, etc. So when you're raising a child, you should be construct a good good life for him. So in form of religious or political beliefs. So for us kasi we are Christian, I'm on Christian community, so I prefer to to struck the religious for my kids, for my future kids in God's way. So that's all, sir. Thank you so much for everything.